Hey everybody, it's your pal and longtime inker for DC and Marvel and all those other great comic companies. So, this episode I'm going to cover another book that falls under the category of it will never be reprinted again. Kirby decided, he requested that Marvel gets the right to 2001, even though it was 7 years after the fact that 2001 came back or was made, the movie. And the thing is, in the 70s, whether it was Roy Thomas or Archie Goodwin or any of the others that were editor in chief for like a minute and a half, they had this really positive and exciting thought that, well, let's get some licenses going and we'll print them and we'll even cross them over, and not realizing that down the road this stuff was to be collected. Now listen to this. Back in the 70s, there were no trade paperbacks, or they were scattered, very few. I mean, most of them were Bring on the Bad Guys, all these Stan Lee collections, and really they didn't, it was just not a viable market, or nobody thought of it. I mean, comics were still a disposable form of entertainment, or as Alan Moore says, a vulgar form of entertainment for poor people, and paraphrasing. So, 2001, Space Odyssey, somehow Kirby managed to ask the powers that be to get the license from MGM, also the people who created Logan's Run. And yeah, this will never be reprinted because there's not enough money in it. It's based on several concepts from Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick. And the Treasury edition that Kirby did was fantastic. And what's weird is when you get the original book that was made into a movie, and then Kirby did his adaptation, they are three different experiences. All three of them great. I haven't watched and read them all in a row, but someday. So, we're here to talk about Machine Man. When Kirby returned to the Marvel in the 70s, I admit disappointment. The first year of Captain America with Mad Bomb was awesome. And then the second year where he was fighting demons and blobby type characters, it was a real turn off. I mean, in hindsight, I liked it. But at the time, it was out of step with the then current Marvel continuity. I can get a drink of water. Hang in there and drink in this beautiful artwork. So, anyway, this trade paperback, which was published just a few years ago, covers all the books by Kirby and Ditko. We'll get into that later. But this is not included because it has a 2000 Space Odyssey logo. And what's odd is it doesn't have that much to do with 2001 except for the monolith shows up. And this is the very end of Kirby's era at Marvel. He left when his contract was up, and Mark Evanier and several others hooked him up with animation, and he did a lot of stuff like Thunder the Barbarian was his concept, and he got paid a lot more because animation pays a lot more. Everything pays a lot more than comic books. So, except for the blip in the 90s where the speculator market went crazy. Okay, enough jibber jabber. Here comes the first appearance of Machine Man. This is in mint condition, whatever. This is probably worth a fortune. And it won't be reprinted because there's no real money to be had. I mean, there'll be money from Marvel, but it won't be incredible money. And I don't think that there are some crumbs. And MGM, Stanley Kubrick, and all them, they will make nothing out of this practically. It's just not. These days, you got to have something really marketable, and which is kind of a shame. Also, this was not included in the trade paperback because back then there were... okay. Sorry about that blip there. I had to click something on my computer. And, okay, here we go. The capture of X-15, 51. I strongly disliked the Eternals. The Black Panther, while in hindsight is kind of fun, is kind of really goofy. And both Captain America and Black Panther were out of continuity with the rest of the Marvel Universe at the time, which really boiled my ass. And have you ever had your ass boiled? And, he just wanted his own little corner of his own new, his Kirbyverse, I would call it. And later on, he'd be Mr. Machine, as he was called initially. He'd be integrated by later people who came along and they loved the character because they owned the character. And nonetheless, Kirby, he was just a font of ideas. Mr. Machine, who, a.k.a. later, Machine Man, he turned out to be my favorite Kirby character from when he returned to Marvel in the 70s. Not at first, but later on. You know what? The reason why is I thought a robot was a terrible throwback to decades ago, because you had the Vision, who was a synthesoid, and he had all the working parts of a human being in his body, and he was much more advanced. He could do this. So to me, this was just like a corny thing, but Kirby sells it. And okay, Drew, shut up and show the comic. All right, wait your turn, guys. All right. If it wasn't for the monitor, the monolith, this probably could be repeated. Kirby right out of the gate, just intense action and just intense drama, really. What happens is there was a series of robots, and some of them they had enough intellect to where they had artificial self-awareness. Not many of them, but it just happened. Their logic circuits or some such. It also examined the human condition, and they would go a little rogue there. Okay, why was I built? Why? They called me a thing. I'm not a thing. So this guy with the bushy eyes. He says that he decided to detonate the explosives we planted in each of our robots. It will take over 30 minutes. And so he's kind of, I don't say he's cold about it. He's pragmatic because, who knows? These are just machines, So they blow this X-35 away. And, I love that. God. And Kirby just doodles his shit, like from one panel to another. No real plans for the next panel. And that's what makes him probably one of the greatest comic book creators. And I hate to even say it, but I'm talking about also including like Al Williamson and Wally Wood way back when. But even so, Kirby was there since pretty much the beginning of comic books. X-51, that's the model we've assigned to Dr. Stack, isn't it? Yes, we just talked to Stack. He took the news rather badly, but there's nothing he can do about it. The bomb is, X-51 is activated. The fool to take personal charge of X-51 is a reckless act. Great experiments like Stack ignore personal risk. Lord knows how he feels at the moment. He's not just a number to him. He's almost a son. Anyway, he's actually he's considering keeping this robot from exploding. And anyway, Dr. Stack, actually his name is Abel Stack, kind of like Jack Abel, the legendary inker. He's just found this new toy that he relates to. Anyway, he calls him Aaron. He gives him the name Aaron, and I don't know why, but that's okay. Those Kirby eyes, oh my gosh, I love that. It's just so different. It's so, and the scrawling, the eyes, it just screams Kirby. It's so distinguishable of what he does. Please, Dad, you know a father could. And he takes out the explosive piece of Machine Man. You'll be fine now, son. You mustn't wait any longer. Get dressed, Aaron. Yes, Dad. It may be years before I see you again. Don't worry, Dad. I'll hear from you. You'll hear from me. Okay, I'll keep you posted. And he had a photo of himself that he asked Aaron / Machine Man to copy so he'll always remember me. So Machine Man starts to leave, and Dr. Stack says, Lift, cancel the gravity equation. Goodbye, son. Thanks, Dad. I'll never forget you. That was one of those crazy things that Kirby came up with, was cancel the gravity equation. I apologize. I've got dry mouth. It's first thing in the morning. I just got dry mouth. So he still has the bomb, and he knows he can't get away from it as quickly as it's going to detonate. So he sacrifices himself to help Machine Man. And what's interesting is he does have independent thought, and it'll come in handy later because he ends up getting a real dry sense of humor that really dragged me into the book. Because his other books didn't really have much, I don't want to say comedy relief, but so he doesn't. Machine Man has that sense of innocence that the Silver Surfer had back when Kirby was, creating him and bringing him into the fold. So Machine Man's kind of learning. Grit. I always think of grits that you eat down here in Georgia. I'm being treated like a one-man foreign invasion. So he's just trying to figure out why he's being attacked. I'm different, that's for sure, but how different? The answer may lie in that direction. And they blast him with a sonic blaster, which is probably, it's like his Jack Davis art. I'll just have to show that because Jack Davis. So the bad guy, he's sort of like a General Ross, and except without a daughter, and he's kind of lording it over Machine Man that I've got you. So they took the mask off him, X-51, and he says the machine has lost its identity. It may go mad. And what's interesting is this guy is a friend and associate of this doctor, and he's a psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know, I get those mixed up. And curse me for not having fingernails. I'm a fingernail biter. I quit during COVID, but then I fell back. I mean, I've been come on, dear sweet baby Jesus. Beautiful Ross Andrew ad, one of the early some comic named Star Wars, which I thought, it'll never be a big deal. Jumping Jehoshaphat, okay. He's held a prisoner, but then the monolith shows up, and it gives him the extra strength to break free. Really, really great Kirby effects. I mean, he does rubble like nobody else, and I like inking rubble because on many books I've done, because you can't get it wrong. It's just rubble. And this guy's little egg machine, Mr. Machine. Oh gosh, the removal of my face. He's pissed off. He may be self-aware and somewhat of an innocent, but he knows when he's getting screwed. Oh, that was unbidden. I had a hiccup. And what he does is people are sending out the alarm, and he goes to scramble it and put out different information. Send in the troops on the double. That machine, man, the machine is trying to break out of the cell, so people go to the cell, but he's already out of it. He wears one of the helmets. I love that. But he escapes, locks those bastards in. I should go faster. It's already 15 minutes into all this stuff. So these guys talk about Machine Man's condition and all that. But you know what? It's not boring at all. And I think it's Kirby's best 70s writing for Marvel anyway. There's a lot of great action. There were times, like in the second year of Captain America and other books, where there wasn't any, Kirby action, which is weird because you associate him with action. He was more into making comments about the human condition. So, a little click, click, click. It takes off. And you're like one of the Marvel superheroes. I don't see Kirby writing that line. What happened was, towards the end of Jack's run, the sales were kind of anemic on the other books, enjoyed by Archie Goodwin. And I've read that Archie Goodwin, towards the end of Kirby's run, that he would suggest to Kirby, he's like, please give us a little something, because they would have S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but no Nick Fury, none of the familiar characters that he created. Similarly, there is right towards the end of Kirby's run on Captain America, the Red Skull shows up, and that was at the behest of Archie Goodwin. And Archie, I've never known Archie. He was really sick before I got to meet him, but I was with Mike Carlin, Dusty Abel, and Dusty Abel's girlfriend, and my wife, when Mike Carlin scattered Archie's ashes into the water, the bay right by San Diego Comic Con. So it was just a little private thing. And from what I understand, Archie was a beloved person. He was just, nobody had anything bad to say him. And he came from, okay, I'm getting off track again. Blaster-Rooney. Hotline to Hades. Hey, hello, you've reached Hades. Okay. Orca. I've never seen that. Has that aged well? Because that was during the Jaws era. Well, and the mood is just so much lighter, and it's just he's not lecturing like a lot of Kirby's characters, and those eyes, that's just great. Well, he's not accused of anything, so he gets out and out from the sheriff's office. This guy, I haven't taken time to reread it, but I love, he's wearing a hoodie and a mask, so I thought that was kind of cool. And he's actually, there he is, that rat bastard. And superheroes don't care, they like fans. Somehow I can't convince Jerry that he's overrated by classification. He finds out that his father died, and he's mourning, which a robot generally doesn't do. So here come the Sonic Blasters to take him away. And these aren't government officials. It's this weird ass guy with the costume. Seize him! I adjust my mask. Oh, they have him pinned up. Do your worst, you swine. Gets dismembered because this guy's into torturing Machine Man, And he's just a sick bastard because I don't think he has anything to do. I don't think he has a grudge against Machine Man, or Mr. Machine as he's called. And yeah, here's your head on a plate. Bring me his head. I want it on my piano. Actually, that's from Samurai Cop. So it's just, by all of the old cliches, he wants my soul. So the big bad old Kirby devil, he believes, he understands that Aaron Stack / Machine Man, he has a soul. Must act while free. While free will remains. So they're looking at the different parts of his body. They take over. Coolest freaking thing. And yeah, they just they're coming back to the master and reassembling. I just love that scene. I think I had this last issue. I don't know. I think I read my cousin's copies because I was so anti-Kirby back then because I thought, because he was from a bygone era, but he really grew into his own personality in the 70s when he went over to DC and got to write his own stuff. Wow. And this is as strong as anything he's done at the time. Well, I mean, there's New Gods, but that's a whole different milieu. Oh, come on, dude. So this guy was going to, he was a suicide bomber, but something caused the bombs to turn into powder. I haven't read all these books again, because I want to do the episode now. Mr. Machine, his own magazine. Watch for it. Okay. I'm getting me some water. This came out a few years ago. It says a complete collection. It collects his solo series from 1 through 18. The first half done by Kirby, and then later on, Marv Wolfman and Ditko brought it back. And then DeFalco did the last few issues, and he probably did the best non-Kirby Machine Man. And again, I was kind of like, oh, Kirby's not cool. He's not like all those New Adams rip-off guys, and just that Machine Man. And he's helping somebody by making his arm into a ladder. He comes up with all these gadgets or all these tricks he can do that are just impressive. And he just talks very casual. Only a man with nerves of steel could have leapt from the cliff like you did. Merely more gadgetry, miss. I rely heavily upon it. He goes, do, magnetized boots. Now this is a thing that not only Kirby did, but everybody else. Where's the metal for your magnetic feet? But I've seen that a lot of other creators doing the same thing. Okay. You know what? I'm skipping this, but it is Kirby's best dialogue. I'm just floored. It's not just jibber jabber for jibber jabber's sake. Moves a tree, and there is a defender of Machine Man who would hang around that old bald guy, and he is the therapist, like I told you before. And that is a great idea, because there are times he listens to Machine Man almost like being on the couch. Okay, now I know what you've seen is somewhat extraordinary, but I urge you not to help me with questions. You're a very modest fellow who can do things like that. My reasons have little to do with ego. And he takes Machine Man for a ride to kind of get away. You're probably a psychiatrist with a yen for spot analysis, which I recommend you stop immediately. So he's also kind of defensive, and he gets out, puts on these kick-ass skates, and they're not quite like Iron Man's skates, which is also cool, but he sort of makes it into a skateboard, basically. That's probably what he had in mind. Police are coming. That's trouble. I'm going to try and go a little faster. I'm sorry if I... Colonel Cragg. Well, they're chasing him again. That pesky armor. And it really follows the Incredible Hulk idea, or what's that term? The theme, I guess, where he's on the run, and he has a General Ross person attacking him. Love those wheels, man. Loved them. So, House of Nightmares. Friggin' badass. Now, I wasn't really buying Machine Man at the time, but I did admire this. You having a dream. You're just a machine. No! Okay, I'm going to jump ahead. This will take me forever to read this thing to you. Whoa. Okay. He's been cornered, and again he escapes. Oh, man. Vroom. And that's just so fun. It's incredible fun. And he adjusts himself to where he can pop off the extra wheels. Okay. Skipping ahead. Because I've essentially established all this stuff about him. I love this character. His name is 10-4. And, I guess it's sort of like X-51, but 10-4 was a big phrase used by truckers and other people who had CB radios in the mid-70s, which, so 10-4 is kind of like, 10-4, buddy. That was like a sign out. Wow. So much. I think he was just so comfortable with this character. So much going on. And he's just an alien from somewhere, and he decides he's just a bad guy. He's not a very good guy. He's like, screw you, I'm out of here. What's interesting is these 2 pages, you can almost read them, the top tier across and then the bottom tier. But what happened is there were so many ads in the comics that there was probably an ad here, so you couldn't really see it next butt up against each other. And away. Okay. Super escape. Now, I was a dorky collector with dry mouth. Hang on, everybody. Hang on. And Bob Layden inked this last page. I was such a dorky collector that I would buy issue 1s. I didn't buy this issue 1. I also bought the last issue of a comic. For some reason, I thought that would have some value too. And Mr. Machine is pretty much free to go. And he's just showing off. He plays baseball. It's not softball back then. They just play baseball. He powerizes the ball. And he's just kind of, I don't know, he's just being treated like a human. And not exactly fair. This ain't fair. Playing with Machine Man is like rigging the game. And I tend to agree. This is our cue to remove the bone of contention. I suppose I'll never win a popularity contest. Machine Man just has this dry wit and self-awareness. The bad guys are the corporation, because all corporations are supposedly evil. It's kind of a quick little thing that most writers use, even though a lot of them, they usually work for a corporation. Here's the thing with corporation. At the same time, the Incredible Hulk and Captain America were fighting something called the Corporation, and what is it? The Torpedo, who was a Daredevil. Then he had a couple issues in Marvel Premiere. He was against the Corporation too. And I think there's one more. I really would hope. I'd hope that all of these guys teamed up together, but it just turned out to be Cap and Hulk. That's just me. Oh. Okay, this goes over the issues of Machine Man that who is it? Who wrote this stuff? Sal Buscema does the art, and it's from. Oh, okay, hold on. Okay. They trimmed the issue of the Hulk because there were other non-Machine Man images. Anyway, he fights the Hulk, and it's cool. It's cool, and I think it's gonna be. Oh, it was in Marvel Masterworks a little while ago. Well, and this is just like a year after the cancellation of the series, and Ditko comes in, just like Ditko did when the Incredible Hulk and Tales to Astonish happened to be like Kirby got his book canceled, then he did Tales to Astonish, and Ditko took over there for a while, and it's brilliant. It was a brilliant idea. I bought this because it was sort of a first issue. He's Steven. And they go back over a lot of stuff. However, they decide to get rid of a lot of the extraneous weapons from Machine Man because he could do anything. I mean, we've seen all the gadgetry. I love that part. I wish he had kept those. And so they got rid of the Kirby eyes. And he's just got red eyes like he woke up after a heavy binge drinking episode. What am I? I just love it. Boop, boop, boop. And this one guy, Senator Brickman, who is established in the Kirby issues, he's Jonah Jameson, basically. He's Jonah Jameson. He's just like, I'll see you destroyed, I'll see you, blah, 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 blah. Yep, there he goes. So help me, I'll see him destroyed. And he's kind of a dick. But the one thing I don't like about this era was that they gave him a secret identity, which doesn't make sense. He's just, he's... Look at that. Oofa, oofa. Beautiful stuff. He ends up getting a job at an insurance agency. I mean, can you think of a more boring job? I mean, insurance is important, sure, but it's not exactly riveting like a reporter or, just anything. And he's got one guy who's always pitching ideas, and he just mixes in with them, sort of, to the best of his ability. There's the thing. What's funny is Ditko could really never master drawing the Thing, but then again, Kirby couldn't really draw Spider-Man, who was designed by Ditko. It was just a rare situation. And I think they put the FF in to probably help with sales. This is... Okay. Oh, Tom DeFalco takes over. And when I got these, it was a lot more entertaining because Marv Wolfman, he had gone over to DC, and I think he just played... he played Machine Man too straight. He did these corny sort of, the insurance agent as a superhero. I mean, who doesn't want to grow up and be an insurance salesman if you're a superhero? And insurance agent is good as a job, but not for superheroes. On. And Ditko, he's look how tight the inks are, really tight. And he fights Alpha Flight. Oh my gosh, yeah, he's in a fire, and his face melts. I don't know why it just happened all of a sudden. heat form. It's great. It adds a little bit of tragedy to it. Last issue, Frank Miller cover. Complete your collection special. Or guess what mag won't have a 20th issue? And creation of Jack-O-Lantern is a Ditko creation who went on to be in Spider-Man, and then they mixed up his origin. Like they wanted to make him a different character, like the new Hobgoblin. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful design. He has this little hover disc. Can you hear my dry mouth? Wonderful stuff. And I love that one eye is larger than the other. And that's pretty much it. And shortly after all this, Marvel... DeFalco, along with newcomer Jerry Bingham, did an issue of Marvel Team Up with Machine Man, written by DeFalco. And it's a great issue because DeFalco has already, at that point, he had already figured out his voice for Machine Man. Droll but entertaining. And I really like that. So, also... I'm going to do another episode, which will have oh my god, it has an amazing 4-issue miniseries that I'll be reviewing, drawn by Herb Trimpe, inked by Barry Windsor Smith, which is, it sounds crazy as hell. It's a beautiful, beautiful combo. But, no time for that right now. So I hope you like this. Machine Man, he's alright. He's a little bit alright. Talk to you later.